No. The Battle of Armageddon will take place
Kansas.
Cincinnati, Ohio. I know.
The Cracked Cauldron is a podcast hosted by Ed Bolden-Greer and Jacob A. Garner. In each episode, Ed and Jacob will have free-flowing conversations about life, culture, and personal growth.
No thought too dumb.
No question too deep.
The conversation starts here. Welcome to the Cauldron.
Hey, Jacob, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic, Ed. How have you been, man?
I'm good. In all transparency, take two.
Take two.
We are here today to record some episode.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be recorded last week. Because of the snow, we were not able to do that.
And today is actually the nicest bit of weather that we've had in like a month and a half, it feels like.
Absolutely.
It actually felt warm when I left. I'm wearing like layers, and I had to take.
You look pretty warm.
I do because I am. But
well, that's good.
I'll take it. I'll take
absolutely.
it. My voice has been a little fucked up because of how dry it's been, though.
You're always a little fucked up.
I know.
A little mucusy.
Yeah, mucusy.
Allergies, man. So, today's episode's going to be a little different.
I'm excited.
We're kind of going back to our roots, Jacob.
Don't call it a comeback.
We're kind of going back to our roots, except not exactly. We used to talk a lot about cryptids, and we still do. But today we're going to be talking about a cryptid adjacent beings. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Nephilim.
I'm so excited.
You know, those are the children of the fallen angels. And it's just right in time talking about angels, cherubs, to talk about Valentine's Day.
I'm curious, Ed, speaking of Valentine's Day, what, in your opinion, in your life, was like the best Valentine's Day you ever had and the worst?
Well, you know, I do celebrate Valentine's Day. I know you don't.
I do not. Thanks, Dad.
So I do celebrate Valentine's Day. And even though I know it's a made-up holiday.
I mean,
kind of, you know.
If I had had enough time, I would have looked up the origins of it today. But I'm sure it's probably like...
It's been set up before. So the worst Valentine's Day, I'd been talking to and seeing this guy, and I thought, you know, things are kind of getting serious. And I think of myself as a very thoughtful person.
I would agree.
And so I listened to all that he said, and like I had asked questions like, what's your perfect date? And what would make, you know, I did all those things. And then when I asked him to go out on Valentine's Day, I said, hey, by the way, this is what we're going to do. And he was all swoony, you know.
Oh, of course.
He put out. And come up on Valentine's Day, I got everything ready. And
got done up, I'm sure.
Yeah, got dressed up because we were going to a nice restaurant, like $100 plate.
Whew.
I was working in nursing. I didn't care.
Yeah.
And so I got all dressed up, went to pick him up at his house, and he wasn't there.
Oh, God.
And so I thought, well, maybe he's on his way back. Maybe something's happened. So I call, and he didn't answer right away, but then he called me back and he's like, hey, I am so sorry. I'm at work. I picked up an extra shift because they were so short-handed. I am so sorry I didn't call you.
Was he like an EMT or a nurse too or something?
No, he was working at a fast food restaurant. Very emergency stuff. And here's the thing. I don't care where you work.
No. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah. It just seems like on the totem pole of jobs that you're like, I'm going to completely torpedo a Valentine's Day date for.
Yeah. Well,
that's
and
not
that
high on the list.
That wouldn't have bothered me if he had just called me. He had a cell phone.
Yeah.
If he had just called me, and obviously this was pre-Jared, and if he had just called me and said, hey, I can't do it tonight.
Yeah.
I would have called and canceled the reservations that maybe somebody else wanted. You know,
on a day like that, yeah.
But I went on to the restaurant and I ate alone. And you know me, I hate eating dinner alone. I just despise it. Lunch is fine. I sometimes like eating lunch alone. And I don't much eat breakfast. But
same here. Well, recently I've been eating a lot there.
Yeah. so that was the worst. And like he asked over and over if I would forgive him. And I just on the phone before I hung up with him, I was like, he's like, so can we do it tomorrow night? I'm like, no, we cannot.
Baby, come back.
And so I saw him at a club one night, and he came up and he apologized and everything. He's like,
sure.
Can I get a second chance? And I'm like, no, I don't think that's something I feel good about.
Hey.
So, his loss.
That's exactly right.
But the
Shout
best,
out Jared.
Yeah. Well, actually, the best is with Jared, and not just because I'm with him now.
No, I'm not surprised to hear that.
But and I'm just going to shorten this a little bit. We before we got married in October. It was February, obviously.
Yeah.
And we decided, we were going to exchange cards and small gifts type thing, candy or whatever. And we just stayed home. We went out to eat, but then we just came home and didn't do anything but enjoy each other's company, watch some Adventure Time.
Oh, yeah.
And, it was really, nice night, sexy time, all the things. And so the next year after we are married, we did the same thing, except I said, I don't even want to go out. I just I'll cook our favorite foods and then we'll just stay in. And we did. And, when we have date nights and stuff, we put our phones away and we don't do social media or anything during that time.
It's a good idea.
And so, that's my best ones. The time when we just are really focused on each other and giving each other our full attention and our time.
Well, see, and I was getting ready to say it definitely appears like it's not whatever you can pull off the shelf and wrap up and present to somebody. It's about the quality of time spent together.
Yeah, I think that's what Valentine's Day is for me. It's, you've told me before that your dad was like, I don't want to do it just on Valentine's Day.
No, my dad actually was a pretty romantic guy. Yeah. And I was actually talking to my grandmother a couple of days about this because she said, Valentine's Day is coming up and all this other stuff. And
like, you aren't my Valentine's grandma.
She's the president of my fan club for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. She's got your fan club picture up.
But my dad, basically said, why do I have to take one day out of the year to tell my loved ones that they mean the most to me? So he definitely went around and I think she told me 7 or 8 times throughout the year, he would just buy candy and flowers for my mom whenever he had some really extra scratch. He never did it on Valentine's Day. In fact, they made it a little bit of a game going to the stores after Valentine's Day to buy all the chocolate.
That's pretty cool.
I think my worst Valentine's Day, I've told you this in private, but there was a girl that trained at my gym 8 years ago. She was awesome. She was beautiful. And she was really funny, really down to earth. And more importantly, in a sport where it's mainly just men, to run into a young woman who was really good, like a world champion, actually, at that point, I thought, oh, this is perfect. She's in the same stuff I'm into, whatever. I ended up getting a bouquet of roses, took the shitty plastic wrap off of it, wrapped it in burlap with twine. And I figured out where she worked because me and her would chit chat at the gym. She worked someplace in Athens, which was really far from where I lived at the time. And I had a typewriter at some point because I was a dumbass hipster. And I typed out the...
Was?
I know. Shut up. I typed out the Rose Family poem by Robert Frost. And I pinned it to the bouquet of roses. Drove a fucking hour plus to wherever she worked, dropped it off at the front desk and asked her if we'd go out sometime, only for her to give me that little side hug and say no.
Oh, God, I hate that.
And then I had an hour plus drive in complete silence thinking of how much of a fucking idiot I was.
And that one tear.
Just one tear.
One tear. I'm sorry you went through that, man.
It's funny now.
Yeah. You want to play a game?
Yeah, dude, let's play a game.
I'll start. I've got famous people.
Okay.
Here's what it is. Name a famous person you have a crush on, but you probably shouldn't.
Famous person I have a crush on, but probably shouldn't.
God. Let me hold on just a second. I'm gonna interject for you here. Whatever comes out of his mouth, be aware that he listens to a lot of podcasts and ideologies that he doesn't even want to listen to, but he listens so that he's up to date on what the enemy is saying.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure I know what's coming out of your mouth.
Well, I really, really like a lot of MMA fighters whose ideologies are completely opposite of my own. But I like, in particular, I think Charles Oliveira, who's
isn't he like almost a Nazi?
Oh, well, he's definitely had some very questionable posts on social media, but I find him unbelievably attractive, and I really like his fighting style. And it's a rag to riches. He fought himself quite literally out of the favelas in Brazil to become a world champion. So it's hard not to like him. What about you?
This is a hard question.
I know.
I mean,
my mind's telling me no.
I wanted to crack your face and say, "Oh, Trump."
Yeah, oh my God!
but
what if I was like Elon Musk?
No, I would have vomited. I don't know about this one.
Really?
Like I think about people, and my mind went immediately to Madonna.
Okay. I feel that.
But I'm not sure that I would have a crush on Madonna sexually. I mean, back in the day, I think she's still sexy as hell.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll just say Madonna.
We can be controversial and say Bad Bunny.
But he is so sexy.
He really is fine.
But
that outfit was fantastic.
But I don't think that he's famous enough for this quote yet. I mean, after the Super Bowl, probably.
All right, I got one for you.
Okay.
This is a really fun one. If you were reincarnated as an object, what would it be? I just saw the biggest smile crack on his face. Brace yourselves, everybody.
I want to be as an object.
Okay, yeah.
How about that statue? I can't remember where it's at. It's a penis.
Yeah.
Statue.
Okay.
It's a huge penis statue.
That's all it is? It's just a giant phallus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's for some festival. I just don't remember where it's at.
It's probably some fertility festival.
Yeah. That's what I want to be reincarnated as.
For me,
then people who call me a huge prick or a big dick, huge fucking dick, I would make them all, it would be true then.
Yeah. That makes complete sense.
Okay, I got one. And this is a player card, so we're going to talk about staff. Which staff person do you think is best at hide and seek? I already know this.
I feel like it's a no-brainer. I feel like Jared, if it was like a serious game of hide and seek, he would fucking like climb up into like a ceiling somewhere or like cram himself into like a small drawer or something.
Yeah. I'm going to agree with you about it being Jared. Here's why.
Okay.
He's quiet.
He's very quiet.
Like he can walk up behind me at the house, not even meaning to. He just walks up because he's always barefoot. He walks up behind me and I turn around and there he is. And you know me, I love like those shock moments. I don't like those.
Yeah.
I don't like those.
Not my house.
Not by my husband. So, what's your next?
Okay, this one's really cool. Which animal do you think is Mother Nature's most impressive creation? And you can't say me.
Which mammal?
Mammal.
It's a joke between Jared and I.
Okay.
Which animal is Mother Nature's most creative? Impressive
creation.
Oh, if we hadn't said the platypus on the last episode.
That one clearly is the first place.
So
second most
impressive. I'm going to say a giraffe.
Okay.
Which is one of my favorite animals. But, I mean, just think about how tall they are and how they fight.
I was going to say, have you seen how they fight?
Yeah.
They swing their necks and faces like clubs.
And when they have a baby, it just falls out.
Yeah,
And it hits the ground, and that's like the spanking,
Yeah.
It just hits the ground, and then it automatically starts to stand up on its own, and it has to stand up, or it'll get eaten.
Yeah.
And
I can't imagine the first seconds you're conscious on the earth
dropping 14
12
feet.
Yeah, 12, 14 feet onto the ground. It's fucking crazy.
So what's yours?
I think there's that. Is it called the peacock mantis shrimp or whatever? It can like see spectrums of light that we can't. And it can also it's got the fastest punch recorded of any living creature. Like it goes faster than like the speed of sound almost. And it just punches the fuck out whatever it's eating.
Yep.
I think that's awesome.
Just a shout out about a couple of things. We have finalized all the preliminary details, not all the details, but all the preliminary details for Appalachian Horror Fest 2026.
Correct.
It's going to take
message. I was super excited.
Yeah, it's going to take place on Saturday, October 10th.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be where it was last year at the Holiday Inn Cedar Bluff in Knoxville, Tennessee. They call it the Holiday Inn Cedar Bluff West.
Okay.
In Knoxville, Tennessee.
Same location.
We have put out the vendor call.
Nice.
Sponsor call, volunteer call, and tickets will go on sale sometime next week. The event's going to start a little later than it has been in the past, and it's going to go until 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
There will be 2 shows going simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have the large room where music and storytelling is taking place. And while I'm at it, 2 storytelling episodes, not one big long one, but 2 shorter storytelling episodes. Okay. About 4 storytellers in each of those episodes. Then the other room, which I haven't really told you this, but that's going to be your room.
Oh,
You're going to MC that room.
Nice.
You'll MC part of the other one. By the way, yes, we got invited back.
Hell yeah, baby.
And so in the smaller stage, we're going to have the self-defense class going on.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to have some panels
Mm-hmm.
and some speakers in there that will be talking about the books they've written and stuff like that. We've still got the fillers out, and people are approaching us about those type shows. So listeners look forward to more details as they become available. But I also want to talk about the Ravensville Book Club. The book club is something that I've been facilitating for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
Our next meeting of the book club is going to be on February 18th, just a week or so away. We're having it on Wednesdays. It happens at 6:30 on Wednesdays. Our next
Wednesday evenings.
It's 6:30 in the evenings. The book that we're going to review this upcoming week is called Witchwater by Edward Lee. And even if you haven't listened to it, you can attend the meeting or read it. You can attend the meeting. I listen to all my books these days. You can attend the book club meeting. If you want to have the link, it's a Zoom, digital Zoom meeting. If you want to find the link to that, you can go to the Ravensville webpage at ravensville.com, VAILS.com. Click on book club, read through the material. At the bottom, you click for the schedule, and you'd go down to the February 18th schedule. And while we're talking about that, I really want to shout out to Paranormal Sound.
Oh, yes.
We had AJ Mason as a guest a couple episodes ago.
Love them.
And the more I have gotten into reading the East Tennessee edition of Paranormal by Region, the more I'm falling in love with these books. So I really want to encourage everyone to reach out on their website. It's soundparanormal.com, soundparanormal.com, and you can purchase the book online there. It is worth the read. It is chocked full of all of the details and the history, and I'm finishing it up, and I can't wait because East Tennessee is so rich with history.
Yes, it is.
But the Middle Tennessee edition is coming out very soon, and they have even more. So I'm very excited about that. I guess, as they say in show business, without further ado, let's go ahead and start talking about those biblical characters, the Nephilim. I did some research, and the earliest reference to the Nephilim is a biblical reference. There's several in the Bible. There's Genesis 6:4, which introduces the Nephilim in context as the sons of God taking human women as wives, and their offspring became the Nephilim.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the same thing in Numbers 13:32 through 33. The Israelites' spies report seeing Nephilim in Canaan. And then by the way, in that it's described like the human being is the size of a grasshopper in comparison to the Nephilim.
Yes.
So they're huge. And then there's a possible reference, we're not really sure, in Ezekiel 32:27 when it mentions the fallen warriors, which most scholars connect to the Nephilim.
Yes.
Okay. And so my appreciation for AI.
Yes.
I was fooling around on my little AI chat thing, and I asked for AI to create, using the biblical references and the things that I fed it, right, to give me a picture of the Nephilim.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I've seen the pictures of biblically accurate angels.
Yeah, those are horrifying.
And so I've got two pictures.
Okay.
It produced one. I said, use this other reference, and it produced another. And so the first one I'm going to show you. We'll put these pictures in the show notes.
So the picture that I'm looking at, it's like a jacked white angel, like an ethereal being, but it is massive.
Yep. Except that I can't find a report where they have wings.
I can't. Yeah, no, that's typically not what I've seen either in my research.
Let me scan in, and then I'll shrink it down for you here. But when I said only use references I'm giving you, this is what it came up with.
That actually looks a lot more realistic to what I would have thought. This is just a beautiful. Just a beautiful man, long hair, also massive in size.
Muscles everywhere.
Yes. And I think that...
Take your eyes off his wiener.
Sorry. I think that this is definitely pretty accurate because angels, the way that they're described, are supposed to be absolutely beautiful anyways.
Yeah.
You know?
Unless you look at the biblical descriptions of angels, which are horrifying and geometric.
Concentric rings and all this other...
Yeah. So I think that when they mixed with human, they became human.
Yeah.
The Nephilim would have been human.
I think that it's... let's back up a little bit and talk about the Nephilim. So for our listeners, because I find it pretty interesting when I have talked to people about this, a lot of people actually don't know that much about the Bible, which that isn't like some sort of weird criticism. I'm just surprised because of the cultural impact that it's had, especially in America and especially in the South. But for people who don't know, in the story of the Bible, in the very first book called Genesis, there was a huge war in heaven, right? Mm-hmm. God had made human beings in his image. He loved them very dearly. There was a gentleman angel by the name of Lucifer. You've probably heard of him. Who apparently was one of God's favorite. He was one of God's favorite angels. And he became incensed and very jealous that God would pour his love into what he considered a lesser creature, a lesser being, right?
Humans.
And what pissed him off more than anything is that God told the angels of heaven, you are beholden to these creatures, right? Protect them and guide them, right? Lucifer was pissed. He ends up leading a rebellion. A full-blown civil war takes place in heaven against God and his angels, and Lucifer and the angels trying to overthrow out of anger. Obviously, as you guys know, if you read the book, God ends up casting Lucifer out of heaven into a place that he built specifically for him called hell.
The pit.
And the angels that supported him were cast out, but they weren't directly sent to hell like Lucifer. In fact, if you look at it, from a historical point of view, God basically was like, nah, he deceived you guys. That's kind of what Lucifer roughly, there's a lot of translations for him, but
he is called the deceiver.
Exactly. And he decided to forgive the angels, but not allow them back into heaven. And they were forced to be kind of like stuck in this middle ground, both on the earth and sometimes going into hell or whatever.
They walked the earth. They had a special name.
Yeah.
The Watchers.
The Watchers, which I think is really unique. And that's where Ed's research picked up at, that while they were cursed to no longer be in heaven, but also not sentenced directly to hell, they kind of intermingled with the human beings here on the earth, giving birth in a lot of different hypotheses to a race of giants.
Yep. And not always with human. We'll get into that a little later. There's some debate about the word Nephilim itself.
Yes.
Some interpret it as giants.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember the story of David and Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They theorized that Goliath was a Nephilim.
Also, it could be translated into fallen ones or to fall.
Yep. Makes sense too.
Fallen warriors. And then I really buy into this last one, even though I know that they were supposed to be larger. They were very persuasive and beautiful. And the interpretation is those who cause others to fall.
I like that.
Yeah. Scholars agree the etymology is uncertain, so it's precarious at best. But I'm going to go with the fallen angel watcher hybrid theory, which I think is kind of what you're wanting to talk about anyway.
Yeah, I firmly believe, at least, again, I used to be a Sunday school teacher. I was really wrapped up in this, and I've always had kind of like this weird brain where even though I believed what I was reading and teaching, I also wanted to look at it in the same way I would study a book about World War II, And I find it very interesting that the Nephilim themselves are kind of, I think, more so, I think two things can be true. I think that there was a race of large beings that maybe by their standards at the time were giants, right? Like if you take Dikembe Mutombo, famous famous NBA point guard, right? If you transported him back into the land of Canaan at 7 foot, what was he, 7'1", 7'2"?
Yeah.
They would have definitely thought he was a Nephilim because the average height was like 5'1" or something crazy like that. They would have definitely thought he was a Nephilim for sure.
Right.
So I wonder if there was a large race of beings that they interacted with, and then, like a classic game of telephone, they get getting larger and larger and larger. And the only explanation that the people at the time could have had is that they had to be kind of these pseudo-mythical beings. There's no way that they were just born this way as normal human beings. There clearly was something to do. And if you were like 1.5 feet, 2 feet taller than the average person,
you're a giant.
You're a giant, and you would have been really good at fighting, especially because back then it was clearly just hand-to-hand combat with swords, spears, and arrows, Yeah.
So I read an author I'm currently reading a book by her. I think I've read like 30 books that she's written. Her name is T.J. Green, Green. She has a whole series where, she writes mostly about witches. Let me say that first. But she also writes about the Nephilim. She infused the Nephilim as characters in her witch series, the Whitehaven Witches, and in all of her series. Now that she's got like 4 or 5 series going at the same time, she has put in Nephilim. She doesn't see them as necessarily the fallen angels or the offspring that way, but that's how they started. They were the offspring of the fallen angels and humans, but they themselves reproduced and proliferated. And in her books, not all of the Nephilim children, like a Nephilim and a human, can produce a child, and it might live, but 2 Nephilim cannot.
Interesting.
Okay.
It's kind of like a liger or is it a mule?
Yeah.
Which one?
And so she sees them more as an ancient race. And in her books, the way the Nephilim came into existence in this current world is that they were pulled out of another dimension, out of like the void, or like in my story, the void, but where the world of like fairies and all of that are from, they were pulled out of that through they tricked people to getting them out. And prior to going into that world, they were trapped there. They were very destructive, malicious beings. They were taught war and all of that, right? And over the centuries that they lived there, they were able to be removed from that, and they took on more of their human mother's mindsets. And so they're they're still very angry, violent warriors, but now they are fighting for good causes in our books. So just want to throw that out there, because if you've never read those books, just look up TJ Green. I listen to them, and the books are just absolutely well written.
Yeah.
And wonderful. And lots of hours of like entertainment.
That's what I'm talking about. Now, before I get into the topic of how I came to you with this episode idea, I just want to ask you straight up, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you believe that the Nephilim existed? At least in the way that we're reading. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure that they don't still exist.
Okay.
Because I don't rule anything out. And the way I see that, the reason I say that, if there was ever Nephilim, I don't know why they would have died out unless there was a reproductive issue.
Yeah.
Because they would have been a superior race. And maybe they don't live here anymore.
Or maybe early humans banded together and eradicated them.
Yeah, who knows?
I think that it's very interesting. So can I tell you about why I got this idea?
Yeah, it's very interesting. Tell me a little edge of it. But.
So I met a gentleman at a bar that, by all intents and purposes, seemed like a pretty, I guess, for lack of a better term, a normal person. You know, I'd say he was in his like early...
Can we change that term? Regular person.
A regular person. I would say that
his bowels move regularly.
His bowels move very regularly. He was a huge Activia fan. He was a kind of a smaller man, probably in his early to mid 50s, I would say. And naturally, we just strike up a conversation. I'm not religious anymore, Ed, but I do still use religious turns of phrases all the time. And he asked me how business has been. I told him I was a massage therapist. And then when he asked me that, I said, God blesses me still, right? And that was just enough. Like a door-to-door vacuum salesman, that was all he needed to stick his foot in the door.
Yep, he got his foot in the door.
So he starts talking to me about religion. And because, again, I used to be a Sunday school teacher, and I still study religion quite often, just because it's fascinating to me, I can basically hold my own conversation. And he says something along the lines of, do you believe in cryptids? And I was like, oh, man, yeah.
You asked the right person.
I said, you have no idea what kind of question that it means to me. And he said, did you know that there's biblical proof that confirms the existence of cryptids? And I said, no, I've never heard of this before. What do you mean? So he starts talking about the Nephilim, right? In his theory, of which, by the way, this conversation lasted almost 2 hours, and we went over everything.
Oh, wow.
It kept getting crazier and crazier. But he believes that like Bigfoot was the first one he brought up, that Bigfoot is a Nephilim. That would explain the size. That would also explain sort of the supernatural aspect of why we never can seem to capture him, either on film, tape, or physically. And he also took it one step further, which I thought was really interesting. So some interpretations of the early scriptures talking about Nephilim, not only do they mate with human beings on the earth, they also mate with the beasts of the earth and had offspring. In his opinion, the Egyptian pantheon and the Hindu pantheon of these half-human, half-animal hybrid gods are directly related to the Nephilim, or were Nephilim themselves. And because they were imbued with the same supernatural energy and power as God had created them to be, they would have had the ability to do supernatural stuff. And he believes that when you look at like the sun god Ra in Egyptian religion, right? It's got the head of a hawk or an eagle, something like that. He believes that these Nephilim were able to levitate granite or these large sandstone blocks and build the Great Pyramids in an affront to God. They wanted to prove that they had power still and that they were going to take his precious creation, the human beings, and enslave them to build these monuments for them. And I have never in my life heard that theory before. Have you?
Yes.
That was crazy to me.
I've heard that theory that like the Sphinx was a Nephilim.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. And that all of the gods, that they had different animal parts, you know, a body of a lion and a head of a human. All of those things were as a result of the Nephilim.
Well, and see, I
guess the results were they were Nephilim.
And he also believes that all of the mythical beings and creatures in Greek mythology, the sirens, the minotaur, centaurs, satyrs,
offspring,
all of these are offsprings
of the Nephilim.
And in his mind, too, also, this is kind of a non sequitur, but it just shows you where everything went. He also asked me if I knew where the Battle of Armageddon was going to take place. I said I had no idea. The Earth is flat, according to this guy, but I felt like that kind of is like a given. But anyway, he said, do you know where if the...
It isn't flat?
Shut up. He said that if you lay out a map of the Earth the way that it actually is, right? Do you know where the exact center of that map would be?
The United States.
Yes, you're right. I guessed Israel because I kind of felt like that's where this was going.
It's where it's supposed to happen.
I know, right? Well,
that's where we were taught.
Yeah, that's what I was taught too, that it was going to take place in the Holy Land. No. The Battle of Armageddon will take place
Kansas.
Cincinnati, Ohio. Cincinnati.
Cincy, baby.
And he said, have you ever been to Cincinnati? And I said, no, I haven't. And he goes, well, it's really flat, so it's a perfect place for a battlefield.
I mean, no disrespect to my laughter, but that's
pretty wild.
That's really out there.
Have you been to Cincinnati?
I have. Yeah,
Is it flat? Like you said?
Yeah, it's flat. Kind of. You know, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's there.
Oh, see, maybe that's why. You know, the devil wrote rock and roll.
Devil of rock and roll.
Well, and so he believes that when the end time comes, this is going to tie it back into the Nephilim. He believes that when the end times come, everybody, in his own words, is the believers of Christ are going to fast travel. In his own words, kind of like Skyrim or Fallout, they're going to fast travel to Cincinnati, Ohio. And you know the spear that pierced Christ's side when he was
Everybody's going to hold it?
No. It's going to reappear and shatter into millions of pieces. And all of the followers of Christ are going to have a sword made out of the spear of destiny and fight against Lucifer and his forces. To which I asked, who is fighting on the side of Lucifer? And he said, and I quote, battalions of trans people. And I was like, what? And he's got this theory that because, in his own words, trans people are defiling their body. Again, his belief, not mine, that they will become interbred with the Nephilim. And I thought to myself, if I have to build a separate bathroom for giant trans people, that's one step too far, damn it.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad that we're having this conversation now, and that your introduction didn't include that. I think I'm glad, because it may not have gotten this far. I don't think I could have sold it to our producer.
I don't think I could have either. But I thought it was really interesting to circle back to the Nephilim. So there was one kind of folklore story that's pretty recent where there's mention of giants. They called him the Giant of Kandahar. Have you heard of this? Mm-hmm. So there was a very famous internet story that made its rounds during the initial years of our invasion into Iraq and Afghanistan, the United States, that is, that there was a report from a couple of village elders that there was a being of great strength, cunning, and danger that lived in this valley. Kandahar is where it was at. Kandahar Valley is actually a real place that has seen tremendous fighting for centuries.
It's in one of TJ Green's book.
Oh, okay. But it's a real place. Like, it's a very real place. The account goes that a group of army soldiers, just typical patrol infantry, were sent out to go look. And when they were walking into this cave with their weapons and they're trying to figure out what was going on, they found skeletons, they found bones broken from where something had cracked it open to eat the marrow and everything like that. Well, they hear a noise, and before they can realize what it was, a massive, massive wooden spear flies out of the darkness and pins one of the soldiers directly through his chest into the wall. And it causes this massive firefight and battle. Now, the soldiers themselves, they didn't really have time to turn on their flashlights or anything. They start shooting into the darkness. And what they claim that they saw was a massive being with a red beard and red hair. And he looked very similar to the indigenous people that have lived there for a long time. And they claimed that after a firefight that lasted an hour, they're throwing grenades. They're even trying to call in ordnance, but because this giant lives in a cave, they couldn't just bomb him from the air. They had to keep going in, losing more and more men. Eventually, they end up killing him, and there's a debunked, according to some people, photo of the Giant of Kandahar that exists that you can find on the internet. I don't know. I'm wondering if the Giant of Kandahar is real. I'm almost willing to bet the farm he was a Nephilim.
Well, there's a story. There's a concept. I can't call this a full story. And this is about a Nephilim, or the last giant. He survived the floods.
Yes. The biblical flood that Noah built the ark for.
Yeah, and he's called the last giant of Ararat.
Yeah.
After the floodwaters receded, there was one single Nephilim that survived, and he was half buried in silt. He was pinned beneath the ribs of a downed cedar forest. He was so big.
Yeah.
Okay. But he was the last of his kind, and he knew that. And so a wandering shepherd boy mysteriously appears, I guess.
As they do from time to time in the Bible.
Yeah. And the giant asks for one thing. He knows he's going to die. He says, "Tell me what the world remembers of us." And the boy's answer was not what he expected. Okay. Because they only remembered bad things.
Oh.
So, another story that I found, and I thought this one was kind of not far-fetched, but a little too, well, I'll just read it.
Yeah.
There was this village in I don't exactly know where this is. It's called Levant, Levant. Okay.
I'm going to assume somewhere in the Middle East.
Yes. And there were whispers about a figure that had appeared at the edge of their fields, too tall, too still, too silent, just not normal.
It's kind of creepy.
He was never a threat. He watched things.
Mm-hmm.
Like he watched the fields grow, and he would watch people as they walked by, and then he would just kind of disappear. Like he would be there and then he would disappear. And at the end of the harvest, the villagers started to dig, and they uncovered a buried chamber that were filled with bones far larger than a human could be.
Yeah.
And that the thing that they had seen was dead and was kneeling, touching the skull of one of the bones, or a skull. And that's kind of where it left off.
Yeah. I think that there's two more instances where I've heard about Nephilim that I find very interesting. Obviously, you've heard me talk about the Epic of Gilgamesh, right? One of the oldest stories that we have record of that human beings have been telling for thousands of years. Gilgamesh himself was considered to basically be a giant, and his best friend, well, his first foe turned best friend, his name was Enkidu.
Right.
And him and Enkidu had this massive battle. And if you ever read it, I mean, they're like throwing each other through houses. They're picking up mill wheels and throwing it at each other. And clearly, if they were just normal human beings, it would not be possible for them to do any of this. I wonder if the Epic of Gilgamesh is pseudo-true. I wonder if Enkidu and Gilgamesh were themselves Nephilim, you know? There's also, if you read into some of the crazy stuff that the Nazis did, outside of the abhorrent crimes against humanity, but really learn into Heinrich Himmler's occult behavior and his search for supernatural advantages to help them win the war. There's a lot of conspiracy theorists that believe that they built a secret Nazi base in Antarctica. And when they built this base, they believed that it was the ice wall that encases the oceans of the flat Earth. A lot of flat earthers believe this. Now, they also believe that when the Nazis were in this base...
I'm going to push the whole button. Are you becoming a flat earther?
What do you mean, become? Been one, baby. No, obviously not. If you believe these accounts of the Nazis building this Antarctica base, whatever, they claim that just on the other side of the ice wall was the race of giants, the Nephilim, that they still exist and that they are pinning us in from falling off the earth, essentially. And for their own safety, they're on the other side of this ice wall because human beings historically, according to these people, hunted them down to kill them. Pretty cool, right?
It's pretty cool. Pretty damn weird.
So if you...
I mean, that's almost like... I'm not even going to go there.
It's really interesting, mainly because even in Islam, they talk about a tribe of giants. And I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, but it's called the Odd. A-I? Yeah. And it's very interesting. I actually spoke to my downstairs neighbor who's a very devout Muslim, and he also was telling me about it from his perspective as a follower, that, yeah, there definitely was a humongous race of people that were cannibalistic, they were evil, and that Allah gave some of his strongest warriors the ability to wipe this tribe off the face of the earth. They've been terrorizing the area for a while. And Allah was like, that's it, I've had enough, and sends in some warriors, and they kill this giant tribe. According to my neighbor, they would make Goliath be like me in comparison.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and say this. That ice wall theory speaks everything about Game of Thrones.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Maybe that's where Martin got the idea.
Maybe. Or maybe they got their idea from Martin. Anyway, there's a YouTube video put out by Brightside Mysteries.
Okay.
Called Life Beyond the Ice Wall.
Ooh. What's it about?
The ice wall. Some theories, here's what it says. Behind the ice wall theories. Some theories, as noted in online discussion, and suggest there are other lands, secret or even alien bases beyond the ice. Not very well written, by the way.
Yeah.
Scientifically, the area is just the rest of Antarctica, the Antarctic continent.
Huh.
So here, I'm just going to go on the assumption that you're joking about being a flat earther. God, I hope you are. I'll let you come clean here in a moment.
Off air.
No, we'll put this on air. But here's what I don't understand. Okay, if the Earth is flat, okay, how come I can fly all around the world, right?
Yes.
And I can't ever get to that ice wall?
Well, Ed, I really didn't want to have to do this on air, but it's clear that you've been compromised and you are part of the system. I like to call them big globe. You've probably got a personal stake in some globe manufacturers now.
Would you just stop?
Look, they can't. Look, do you have any idea? Just Google this real quick. How much does globe cells annually make?
Globe cells are only $60,000 to $100,000 annually.
That's it? Holy shit. That's crazy. Only 60 to 70,000?
Well, hold on. That
can't be right. See, now you're poking a huge hole in my theory. If it was millions of dollars, I would have been like, see, there's a lot of people that are interested in pushing the globe narrative.
What they were giving me was a sale for an average salesperson.
Oh, okay. That was a salary.
What year would you like to know about?
I don't know.
It only goes up to 2024.
Okay.
5.778 billion.
Billion?
Uh-huh.
Holy cow. Okay. Well, all I'm saying is,
they do sell other things other than globes, so it's called Globe Life.
Globe Life. What a weird name. I wonder how much there has to be people that make flat Earth models. You know what I mean? Like a flat Earth map. And if Cincinnati's not in the center of it, we know it's fake.
Oh, wait. Globe Life is an insurance company.
Oh, my God.
It's just not giving me good information.
Because I even thought billions of dollars. That seems kind of high. My grandmother, while you're looking this up, my grandmother has a little globe piggy bank that she's had since the 60s, and it still has the Soviet Union listed on it.
Maybe this will give us, based on recent financial report, that is not insurance.
Type in how much do physical globe sales make annually?
Yeah, it's still, that's what I topped.
Who's the largest globe manufacturer? Start there and then look up their annual earnings. It has to be at least 2 million.
How many globes are made per year?
Okay. It can't be high.
It's not.
It can't be high. How much is it?
Not enough for conspiracy. There's one primary globe maker called Bellerby and Company, globe makers in London. They produce roughly 500 to 700.
That's
750.
Well, all right. Maybe Big Globe isn't behind the conspiracy then. I'll concede.
Now, Repulgla globes based in Illinois. I have no idea how to pronounce that many letters and stuff without all the vowels. There's
no way.
Yeah. It may be an acronym or something. In the United States, because these globes are made out of paper, like paper mache kind of stuff. And they damage easily. They make hundreds of thousands of globes.
Okay.
Annually.
I've actually, if anybody here, and I can't believe I haven't done this, but if anybody in our listener base actually believes that the Earth is flat, I just want to understand why.
You just want to...
I want to understand why people would all be a part of this narrative. Every pilot, flight attendant, I would even say cruise ship director, and what did he call that, captain? Because like there's some areas when you're on a cruise ship and you're out in the middle of the ocean, you can see the curvature.
Yeah, so they're the only one in the United States. 13.6 million annually.
That's not enough.
But that's for maps and globes.
That's not enough to have a conspiracy. I just wonder what the flat earthers, why do they believe that this is like a thing?
You know what? Let's ask our friend AI.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, what is the most common belief as to why?
I'm just going to put it simple. Why do
I like how this episode has now just evolved into a flat earth episode.
Well, I mean, there's only so many things you can say about handsome, well-hung, well-muscled.
You don't mean that. We can talk about that all day.
Angel spawn. Distrust of institutions.
I mean, duh.
So people don't trust government agencies, scientists.
Yeah.
Educational systems. And media.
Preach.
So because they don't want to believe any of those things, the earth is flat.
I mean, funnily enough, it is really just the most simple explanation, isn't it?
Yep. And then the second most used explanation is hidden knowledge. They're hiding something from us. People who see the truth where others don't, outsiders who aren't fooled, and brave thinkers who dare to question everything.
Brave thinkers. The do your own research crowd. That's who this is, huh?
But the biggest one is social media algorithms.
Yeah. That makes complete sense.
Secret truths, emotional content, and controversial content.
Well, now that you and I have been talking about Nephilim and Flat Earth, you know for a fact you and I are going to get advertisements for some YouTube videos that are going to be like, fucking, hey, check this out. And anybody who listens to this episode, expect a couple of those to pop up.
Yes. So I don't think Jacob and I really, we didn't intend to have like most of this conversation, but when he proposed this conversation, we knew we weren't going to have an outcome.
No,
we knew we weren't going to have an outcome, and we did consider that, hey, the conversation's going to be limited. Like you could talk all day about aberrant stories from here and there and everything, but they all really boil down to the same thing. And my closing thought on this is going to be, there has to be some truth to it.
I agree.
Otherwise, I don't think it would have been left in the Bible.
No. Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I am not one of those people who think that every word of the Bible is still true and good today because man has had too much in the publishing of the Bible.
Of course.
You know, I think the inherent worth of the Bible is still there.
Yeah.
But I think that if there was some conspiracy out there, the Catholic Church and the Protestant Church, they would have wiped all those verses out of the Bible. I mean, look at everything they took out of the Bible about Jesus.
I know.
So, yeah, that's my last thoughts.
I think, here's my thought. Obviously, I want to believe that there's a race of giants out there. That's super fun. I think that, like when human beings in the Americas, in North and South America, when they first saw Spaniards riding horses, they'd never seen a horse before. That came from the New World to the Old, right? They believed that they were one being. They didn't think that they were a man and a horse. They thought it was one being combined together.
Because they didn't understand?
Exactly. And I'm really curious if that's where a lot of depictions of centaurs came from, in mythology. Early humans seeing somebody ride a horse or a beast, thinking that they're obviously one and the same. I'm curious if there was some race of giants. I know this sounds really comical, honestly, but what if there was a group of warriors that fought on stilts or some shit? There's no like a cave dwelling, a cliffside cave dwelling race of people.
But with us having rather tall people today, and let's face it, we've shrunk over time, and
trust me, I do every day.
How tall are you?
5'5".
I just don't think I need an explanation that there were just large humans, And, I'll go a step farther. We've talked about genetics and DNA and how we have a bunch of DNA that there's no explanation for.
Yes.
So after years and years and years and years of breeding, if you want to, I mean, this kind of even falls into that, seed thing where the terraforming and
yes.
that we were seeded, maybe just not by aliens. I mean, I know you love aliens, but maybe just not by aliens. Maybe angels had kids, and maybe the kids of the angels had kids, and so forth and so on. I'm going to come back to a final statement because I can't keep my mouth shut about it. I believe I know where the flat earthers come from.
Ooh.
Okay.
Cincinnati?
No, but a definitive statement from me. When you were in school.
Yes.
And there was a globe on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In my classroom, it's over there.
Yeah.
But also, when they were trying to teach a geography lesson, they pulled that map down.
Oh, the Mercator projection. Yeah.
I think that the flat earthers believed that map was the earth.
Yeah.
End of story.
That's just where the seed got planted for them.
Well, not even the seed. I just think that they don't have an imagination. It was never developed. And then when that map came down, they're like, yes, that's the earth. And it's flat.
Yeah. I can totally see that. I will. This is my closing statement. I wonder if there were Nephilim, if there were giants, like a race of giants. Obviously, the Catholic Church with all of their councils that they had, was it Vicia or wherever, where they basically agreed on what was going to make up the King James Version Bible in like 14 whatever, right? They obviously cut out a lot of books, like the Book of Enoch, the Book of Solomon, all of this stuff.
The Book of Jesus Christ.
The Book of Jesus, the Book of Judas, Mary, all of these.
Shepherd of Hermas.
Yeah, there's a lot of information that they cut out, and they had a purpose for it. You can make the argument that it was divinely inspired, their decision-making. That's a lot of devout Christians that I've spoken to about this believe that their decisions were guided by God for a purpose.
And
right?
maybe some of them were.
Maybe some of them were, but I also can't help but feel like there was a manipulation of the masses that they wanted to.
Are you saying that the Catholic Church has manipulated us, that religion has manipulated us as human beings?
That's the coldest take of all day, but I think one thing that would be incredible, if I was ever given the chance, which they never would, right? If I could get into the Vatican archives,
the vaults,
I wonder how much they talk about the Nephilim.
I'd say a lot. All right, guys. We really appreciate y'all being here.
This is such a fun episode.
It has been. I really love this stuff.
I'm not a flat earther, guys. Let me just go on record as saying that. I'm not.
Thank God. Well, Jacob and I want to say happy Valentine's Day to everybody.
Yeah, happy Valentine's Day.
You're probably going to hear this after Valentine's Day because we're recording it before Valentine's Day, but a week late.
Yeah. We
love you guys. We appreciate you listening in. And please hit the subscribe button. We have so many listeners.
Yeah.
But we don't have a lot of subscribers. And when Jacob and I have been told we got to pay the bills.
Yep, we got to pay them bills.
And so we only get paid when people subscribe.
It's free. You guys, all you have to do is just hit follow, subscribe.
Hit follow and subscribe. We will beg.
Oh yeah, I'm not too proud to beg, baby.
Not too beg to proud.
Not too beg to proud.
Anyway, see you later, guys.
Goodbye.
We love you. Bye. Now, family, you adults have a few chores to do. Go on over to ravensvale.com and see about doing your chores on social media. Follow us on all the social media platforms that we've made available just for you folks. Like, listen, subscribe, and follow wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you don't mind, leave us a good rating and a kind comment. You can find the Cauldron on your favorite podcast platform. And again, make sure you hit that follow button to stay up to date with our latest episodes.
The Cracked Cauldron is a production of Small Raven Media. Today's episode was hosted by Ed Bolden-Greer and Jacob A. Garner. Audio engineering and sound design by Nick Devan at Nicky D Sound. Copyrighted 2025 Small Raven Media. All rights reserved.